Okay, Ms. Andan, can you tell us about yourself and your teaching experience?
Thank you, Mom, for having me today. And I am Analea Andan, and I have been teaching for several years, especially in English and literature.
So, what is your educational background and teaching certifications?
I hold a bachelor in secondary education, major in English, and I am from Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology. And I hold a certification where I earned an award in teaching literature, English, language arts, and also creative writing.
Next, what subjects and grade levels have you taught before?
I have teach English and literature, of course, and I have taught junior and senior high school.
Um, what is your teaching philosophy?
I believe, Mom, in creating a student-centered learning environment.
That's good. So, how do you incorporate technology in the classroom?
Well, I use technology, of course, to teach my student, and I use like Google Classroom and quizzes, and also the Kahoot.
That's a nice approach you have there, right? So next, why did you choose to become a teacher?
I chose to become a teacher because it's my passion to teach the young students so that they could gain the knowledge from me.
Yes, you're right. So next, can you describe a time you managed a difficult student?
I once had a struggle with student where his behavior is different from his classmates. So by building a relationship with that certain student, I implemented a structured support.
That's the right strategy on how you deal with difficult students, right? So tell us about a lesson that didn't go as planned. How did you handle it?
There was a lesson where students found the content challenging to learn, and I quickly adjusted it.
Alright, so can you describe a thing you work with a challenging parent? So as of today, we have always a problem about getting challenges with a parent, right?
There was a time when the parent come to my in, there was a time where a parent come to me and tell me about the problem of his child.
So we cannot avoid that as a future educator or as an educator, we cannot avoid that. Some parents will come and, what do you call this, and ask what happened to them. Have you ever had to deal with a conflict between students?
Yes, Mom. I once facilitated where I am discussing, and then they have a misunderstanding. And then later on, after my discussion, I give them an activity where they will work together, and of course they will know each other and to get along.
Yes, because sometimes, as a teacher, we have to create or create an activity that can make our students work together to avoid these conflicts. So next is, can you tell us the time you adopted your teaching style to accommodate a student's need?
There was a time where I have this certain students. He learned by through visual aids, and that I incorporate charts, diagrams, and other that may help him.
Because many students have different needs or different learning style, right? So you have to be creative. Okay, next, so I would like to ask a hypothetical question. First, if a student refuses to participate in class activities, how would you handle it?
There was a time where my students being hesitant, and then later on, I encouraged them to ask questions so that they will feel safe asking me questions.
It's the right approach to do when some students refuse to participate, right? So we have to look for another approach. Next, what would you do if you noticed a student struggling but they won't ask for help? Sometimes some students they would be hesitant to ask questions, maybe because they are scared, right? So how will you handle this?
First, I will observe them, observe where they are struggling, and later on, I will enter and give them assistance in non-intimidating way.
That could be. So let's imagine you have a disruptive student who constantly interrupts your lesson or discussion. So how would you respond to this kind of student?
When I am discussing, maybe I will call his or her attention so that I will tell her that he or she will listen to me first before, after he or she can talk with us.
So okay, Miss Anran. So if a parent confronts you about their child's grades, how would you handle the situation?
First, of course, I will listen to their concerns, and I will give examples of my criteria in grading, and also to let them see the grades of their students, other children.
So I think the best way you handle this kind of situation is to provide them the records of their child, right? So in every school or every teacher has the records of the student. Okay, next. What would you do if your students weren't engaged in your lessons?
If my student is not engaging in my lessons, of course, I will incorporate an activity where it is engaging for them, and also an activity that make their critical thinking.
Alright, so in this type of situation, you have to incorporate an activity that is engaging for everyone. Okay. So next, supposedly you are assigned to teaching a subject you're not familiar with. So how would you prepare? Familiar with the subject. For example, if it's not your major, I guess you have to make a thorough research, cross research, so you can teach or incorporate your lessons. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for today. Thank you for coming and giving us your time. We will call you next week, hopefully, to update you. Do you have any questions?
I would like to ask if what is the student to teacher ratio in this school?
Oh, so in our school, in every classroom, we have 45 students. 45 students and one teacher. Correct? Another question?
That's all now.
Oh, okay. Thank you for coming to National.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You may take your seat. Thank you. So, I will prepare. Miss Marie, can you tell me about yourself and your teaching experience?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for having me today. My name is Ika.
So I have been an English teacher for about 5 years. I am specialized in literature, um, writing English modules for junior high school and senior high school.
It's fascinating, child. So, next question. What is your educational background and teaching certifications?
I have graduated at Sumbong State College of Marine Sciences. I am degree holder of Bachelor of Secondary Education, majoring in English, with Latin honor cum laude.
Wow. So, okay, that's good to hear. What subjects and grade levels have you taught before?
In my 5 years of teaching, I've been to different schools. So every school have given me different subjects. So first, I have taught English. I also have taught science, Filipino. Yes, yes, ma'am. I have science based with this school.
It's good to hear. So, what is your teaching philosophy?
My teaching philosophy is I have to make my students engage in every activity. So I have to create a lesson or a lesson that is more on student-centered. Yes.
So, how do you incorporate technology in the classroom?
So in using technology in the classroom, I will incorporate them by making them as a instructional materials. Because as you know, our students right now is engaged when we use technology in the classroom or in the lessons.
Because in the past previous years we faced pandemic, right? So we, as a teacher, we need to adjust.
Yes.
Okay. So why did you choose to become a teacher?
So I chose to become a teacher because I think I have this passion since I was a child. I want to teach young minds, inspire them, and hope they will build a better future for our country.
Okay. So can you describe a time you managed a difficult student?
Oh, yes, there are so many times we have to manage a difficult students because when I was a teacher in different schools, I have dealt with many difficult students like they are not coming to schools every week, they're constantly absent, or sometimes they are cutting classes while I'm not done with my classes, they are going home. You know, some students are like that.
Correct. So tell us about the lesson that didn't go as planned. How did you handle it?
In teaching a lesson that didn't go as planned, sometimes, or it always happens, because you have to adjust. The adjustment is there. So your lesson is planned, and the flow is planned. So that upon entering class, you notice there are many students that don't align. Their learning styles don't align with the lesson that you have planned. So you have to adjust. Right? So I have to adjust. The time that I noticed that there is a student like this, I have to adjust. So my learning plan is adjusted, meaning I have to think on the spot. What will I do with this student?
Because as a teacher, we are flexible.
Yes, ma'am, you're right.
So, describe a time you worked with a challenging student. How did you communicate with them?
This challenging parents is inevitable. So for me, when some parents come to they come to ask what happened to their child's grades, something like that. I will simply ask them to. I will show them some records of their child's.
So that they will believe you.
Yes.
Okay, have you ever had to deal with a conflict with students? What was your approach?
Mm, there are many conflicts that I have dealt with my students. So some students aren't paying attention, and whatever you will say, they will not follow your instructions. Correct? So in that situation, I have to find a different approach that can make them follow my instructions. It's because we have different learning styles. So
Tell us about the time you adapted your teaching style to accommodate students' needs.
so aside from we have different teaching styles, our students also have different learning styles, right? So sometimes there was a time that I have a student that has special needs. Um, I don't give them the special quizzes or the special exam. What I did is I make an approach or a strategy that can cater them as well and the other students.
Alright. So, if a student refuses to participate in class activities, how would you handle it?
Um, if a student if a student refused to participate in the class, I will have to talk to them in person or in private. I will ask them which activity they find comfortable. So I have to integrate it so they will engage in that.
Of course, because no students will be.
Yes.
Okay, so what would you do if wait lang. I-pause mo ba, Ding?
Action.
So, Miss, what would you do if you notice a student struggling but they won't ask for your help?
So if I notice some student struggling, I think the first thing to do is to approach them. If you already notice it and they are shy to approach you, maybe you should approach first and ask them what was the problem or why you are hesitant to ask questions. So I will encourage them I will encourage them to ask questions and I hope them to participate more in class.
Of course, right? It's because some students will find you intimidating.
Yes.
And or maybe they are just shy. So okay, so imagine you have a disruptive student who constantly interrupts. How would you respond?
This disruptive students, we cannot avoid this in classroom. So sometimes I have to call the attention first. I have to ask them to keep quiet and they can talk later with their classmates or whatever they want to talk. So we'll have to ask them to listen first when we discussion so they will have an answer when the exam week comes.
So another question, what would you do if your students weren't engaged in your lesson?
Okay, so if my students weren't engaged in my lesson, so I think I have to make my lesson more interactive, such as integrating games. They learn while they're having their fun. So students nowadays they prefer to learn using these interactive games.
Yes, because some students are judging best in learning, best in activity, fun activity. So, suppose you're assigned to teach a subject you're not familiar with. How would you prepare?
So as I was saying earlier, I have taught 3 different subjects, although I am an English major. So in that situation, I think I have to make it cross-research, study thoroughly, and I have to adjust my strategies pursuing different subject that they will ask me to read from.
Thank you, Ms. Molina. I like your answers, and I hope to see you soon, and we will call you next